Hi. Um, this evening I'm going to continue on with the issues covering Charlie Kirk's assassination. And really what I'm going to focus on here because there seems to be so much squabbling between all of the podcasters and the journalists. And like exactly what Charlie Kirk would not want. And I mean, I was going to start this, and then my brother called, and oh, that just stirred up all sorts of stuff because I had finished Woodbury Forest School just when Charlie Kirk's death. And that's when I was doing the prep schools. I didn't even get into the Ivy League schools, and I still haven't finished Woodbury Forest. I just got to the Bush family, and we'll see Billy Bush in here. I mean, this is, you know, I won't rehash with. See, my siblings and my family has always been good training. My older sister, she passed away, but she was, anytime I want to know what the anti-feminists were going to say, she and my mother, the feminist, my sister, and the frat boy managerialist, madman uh, type. I just talked to my brother. Um, so what we're, but what, so I'm going to really be focusing on the squabbling and what's really important. First, what's important is that people are not, their attention is not deviated away from who exactly killed Charlie Kirk. Because the guy who was on the roof that they have, the evidence is pointing that that's just not possible. I mean, he didn't fall back, he fell to the side. So right then and there, you're like, well, wait, what you're telling us, it's not possible because the guy was in front. And then we have, the crime scene was not secured. This thing just, I mean, when it started, you can even see the postings that I did from the very, very beginning. I was like, wait a second, day before 9/11 is, and assassination 101. This is more likely within the Republicans behind it than, the Democrats. Just, well, inside job, but CIA, it's just to maintain the status quo and the status quo of the Democrats, because the Democrats control Washington. It doesn't matter. I mean, Steve Bannon was saying everybody's going on, well, nothing's changed, nothing's changed, nothing changed, nothing changed on the ground. No. And if everybody would support, I mean, this is where I was going off with my siblings. I was like, what? I'm sick. Oh, you got your podcast or your blogs. I'm like, excuse me, I've never gotten any money from this. I mean, you can go in there. Nobody ever looks at my blog. I'm like, you guys, I don't care. I have been posting this for 18 years on Facebook, on all of the, aggressively going after all of the journalists because the cover up of sexual and physical abuse of children by family courts is the same thing as which was happening and is happening in the Catholic Church. I mean, this was the Boston Globe exposed this in 2000, 2002, I forget. Um, and everybody's been hopeful. We were like, oh, well, we'll get it in the press about family courts. These are the same issues, the same reasons, the cover up, the agendas of everybody involved. You know, extensively, I have, this is, I've got actually war on domestic terrorism got hacked into. So you can go to Take Back America for the People. So you can find the documents there. But we have, I've been case building for the International Court. this thing of like, I'm just putting out a couple of blogs out there. I mean, denigration games like that 101, yeah, I'm not going to go into. So that's, it's just, we're going to change the subject. We're going to normalize, all of this replacement theory. Even when you're a replacement theory, there's no theory, it's reality. And if you guys would give me a voice and let's go to the courts, when we could do something about it. So, this is really, it's not just Charlie Kirk, speaking out against Israel and what's going on with Netanyahu, who owns America, who's running America. um he the transformation. See, this is also why I'm like, okay, so what's the agenda? Because these people, I was just reading this, we can't have any more machines on at work. Oh, you can see. But anyway, it's the rise of the Fourth Reich. And I was reading the introduction. Oh, the Bush family's in there. I'm like, oh yeah, the Harriman, Abraham Harriman. Yes. See, this is repeating itself. And it's, as it said in the book, part of it is just cyclical. The right and the left falling in, backlash and backlash and backlash, kind of as it does throughout history. And part of it is manipulations by the people with the money and power. And we got a whole, see, the Capote Swans, as one of them said, we made New York the center of the world. Yeah. So that became the center of the commercial um, and social world of the United States, with London, following, well, say they were leading. They would argue with that they were leading or not. But anyway, both of them were hand in hand of what was going on in the 60s, 70s, the 80s, the revivalism of the elitism. We got the debutante balls. That's my big pet peeve. As everybody knows, because Cornelia was Deb of the Decade, and I was reluctant debutante. But I keep on saying, at least let's not waste my father's money and put it to use, and now I can be a cave dweller, dowager, since I was a debutante of Washington, and run these Kennedy, Caroline, and Carrie goodbye. Those two are just, I mean, see, this is the thing. Pure jealousy, backstabbing, same can of worms with my family, with all of everything that's gone on in the past 18 years. I mean, come on, I've been sitting on this project. When I showed the revenue potential of $1 billion to my ex-husband in 2006, when he looked at me, I was like, "Are you crazy?" The gaslighting bullshit. Don't tell me that this is not a good project, and that this is not, vindictive of whoever in my family, and like the feminists, oh Lord, they don't want me getting a voice and starting a social media platform for pissed off moms and homemakers. I mean, it didn't start for pissed off moms, it just started for trailing spouses, wives. But now you pissed me off. So now it's going to be the pissed off moms as well. So anyway, this is when I got into the Mean Girls, the 16th, with the Mean Girls, the Kennedys, with Matt Dow getting fired. I mean, he wasn't out in the streets celebrating. I mean, again, and then everybody squabbling. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he was right. But look, see, over here, as I said to my siblings, I said, oh my God, if another, Valley of the Doll, Real Housewife, whatever you want to call her, who gets a book published about how after her divorce, she found herself. either by sleeping around like Leslie Morgan Steiner or whatever. I mean, God, the bimbos that this country has been producing has got to stop. And yeah, here's why Ethel Kennedy picked such petty fights. Let's play that one again, because
just sort of silly. She was just sort of like always wanted to have a good time, never introspective, could never look back. She didn't want to talk about anything that had any depth. If you wanted to talk to her about anything you'd read, it would need to be real gossipy and sort of salacious in order to draw her attention to it. And I think that for somebody like that who isn't interested in philosophy, isn't interested in religion, isn't interested in art, isn't interested in anything that would grow your mind in the conversation and in the discussion of the topics, those sorts of people have to make a mountain out of a molehill when it comes to tiny little, microaggressions or things that she feels like are unfair to her in any sense of the word. Because that's how they feel alive. For other people who are more intellectual, the things that really rivet them are deep conversations with other people, deep ideas, expressions of truth articulated in beautiful ways. But for Ethel, who didn't really care about any of that, how is she going to feel alive? By picking small fights about petty things.
Well, that's Mark. He marks up medicines.
As
a nonprofit, we...
Oh, sorry. That's the Real Housewives. That's been the model that women have been following ever since the 50s and 60s, and it's got to stop. Well, maybe we can go back to the 30s, but definitely in my lifetime. Um, and it's got to stop, and it's gotten. This is the Narcissism Epidemic book by Twang and Campbell. They go through all of that, and these pampered children. Before it was just from the prep schools, the East Coast elite, but then in the 80s, they took it all, made it into an epidemic, and it's produced this wacko left-wing trans crap. I mean, and a lot of that is because the homosexuals, when I was young, it was still kind of taboo. I had lots of gay friends in college, male gay friends. And it's like, where have they been? This gets in, like, I can't even get a minimum wage job. I'm continually harassed. I mean, I've been logged out. Everybody's canceled me because I don't give any fabulous parties anymore. Of course, I have no money and I have no place to entertain because nobody will give me a decent job. I can't find money for a business that would be making billions of dollars, and I would have a voice, but I can't find investment money because I've been canceled. I mean, this whole thing, well, it is what it is. That's the reality. I'm like, excuse me, you guys, there are laws, and if you guys, if what you're doing is breaking laws, then you have to be held to account, and stop with this entitlement stuff of, well, we're all just going to pretend nothing's wrong, nothing's happening, so we can say, well, we didn't know. I mean, if you're not going to be an informed citizen, then why should I have any rights? I mean, with rights comes responsibilities. Not just. I mean, this has got to stop. Saw this guy. He looked at some of the forensic stuff. He's was a sniper. So like, I will defer to an expert here because, yeah, I don't understand all of these things, but I am going to listen to these guys. His name's Zeb Boykin, I think. And I was like, oh gosh, because, yeah, he's like, well, we're white Americans, we're Americans. If you take away some passport from someone Latino, well, no, he's not American. You take away my passport, I'm still an American. And there's something to be said for that because I am sick and tired. But this goes, well, my organization is Global Expats. I'm a French and American nationality. I am just as much, fighting for the Constitution, the rule of law, good governance, sanity within our social and political and economic institutions in France, in Spain, as in the United States. My children are Spanish, so I have an obligation there as well, even if I don't have that nationality. But so I doubly resent having people around me going, oh no, I'm just here to cash in. And we just hit $37 trillion in debt, public debt. So what? So a bunch of foreigners can come and not just the foreigners, because, well, oh my God, when I was listening to Billy Bush's hot mic this evening, I'm like, excuse me, yeah, Bush's, you might want to look at what your family's been doing. Get a little bit serious there. So, this whole thing of, no, I'm just here to cash in. I'm just here to cash in. Billy Bush's brother, Jonathan Bush, he got shafted by these guys who were doing margin shorts on him. And, well, but he got some more money to start a new company. So he's good. Billy Bush was talking about Jimmy Kimmel and stuff. Well, he'll make it, he'll get, and also, we got how many freaking too much money is going in to all of these podcasters and comedians, you guys. And then you're all in the ivory towers, just like all of the people that I know on Facebook from Foxcroft or from Cobham, all the people I know around the world, the ruling elite who don't want to. I mean, it's incredible because I keep on telling all of the expats, the immigrants that I know, the rules that you are supporting, this is why the filing to the ICC by Barbara Stone of Florida concentrates on Nuremberg-style laws in the United States that have been developed. And this is in the Guardian, she did the elderly custodial issues from family court, but it's the same can of worms. I mean, people have no idea how bad the courts are. And I was like, how could, with the whole Me Too stuff, with the Prince Andrew, I was like, come on, how can you not, like, wake up and go, what? Oh, crazy. Absolutely crazy. No standing, no cause, a total extortion. I mean, the New York courts with the Me Too witches, and no, la-di-da-di-da-di-da. Now you got a communist mayor coming in. Well, good riddance to you people. I mean, you deserve what you've got. And New York, the Big Apple. This is what I was telling my siblings. This has been going on since the 1800s. And now you self-destruct. Oh no, but we're going to do with the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals of the international community and the UN. We're going to pull the same crap. I keep on telling all the IMF, the World Bank, I'm like, your financial inclusion, well, bonjour. And then you got to go into quantitative easing to fix all of the problems that your financial inclusion and spend has created. God. I keep on telling everybody, go and see Dr. Warner's discussion with Tucker Carlson. That guy, he has some brains and we're going to need him. There's a lot we can run out of town. I mean, David Malpass. So here I went in and see this. I mean, Susan Andrews, I am sick and tired of the hate crimes that I am the recipient of are because of women like Susan Andrews, the Real Housewives, who sit in their ivory towers and don't want to become involved in any unpleasantness in their societies. Now, she's no different than the Jeffrey Epstein. Her father was the headmaster. So she didn't come from this wealthy family. It was, through connections. And there was the whole sex abuse scandal when her father was headmaster. She was a teacher, like, no, she's good. She gets married and I'm good. I'm good. And then Megyn Kelly is the opposite, spectrum, the having it all feminist who despises the Real Housewife, Susan Carlson, and looks down on her and denigrates, yeah, if Susan were to lose her meal ticket husband, she'd end up like Alan Dershowitz' wife or Mary Richardson Kennedy, who hung herself. I mean, it used to be, this was one of the things I was like, wait a second, when I started researching, and I'm like, you guys, women have absolutely no rights within the family or home with the way you people have set this up. And it's in the literature, book after book after book. You only have to go onto my Taking Back America for the People and look at all the books that I've read there to see that. But I was like, at least with the Muslims, they can have as many wives as they want, but they have to pay for them and have to provide for them. Like, okay, you're going to get another one, make some more kids, but you got to take care of the ones that you already got financially. I mean, it used to be like that. And in fact, it's interesting in the book that I'm trying to, oh, you're a nobody because you don't have a published book. Well, that's because I can't find any publisher who will let me publish this. The few feminists who have written about the aggression and the mean girls have said they got really pressured not to write about this. And, this totally debunks the narrative of the feminists that all men are bad and all women are good. And that we just need to transform our patriarchal society to matriarchal society dominated by alpha dominance feminists who are going to be even worse dictators, more look throughout history. Your women dictators have been time and time again worse than any of the men. So, that was the 17, my last one. And now I'm going to get into, okay, so there are obviously questions to be asked. Here are some clips that I broke down because this is Sabby Sabs. Now, the author, Ken McCarthy, he was coming, like, listening to him, it's like, oh yeah, Charlie Kirk, he was this agent that, that they produced. Now, because he got the funding from mainly Israeli donors, which seems to be the case. And so it does seem that there was this kind of idea of, well, we're going to build this puppet, this pansy, and he'll, do with this organization. And I mean, this is all of the nonprofits are doing this. I mean, this is my big thing. And this is, you can go in and see with Foxcroft. I think this is the 8th Deep State with Tim Mellon. Wait a second, Tim Mellon, you throw 300 million, or you have thrown 300 million at the Republicans in the federal election campaigns to try and get the right in there to compensate for the woke illiberalism that the Mellon Foundation, with $8 billion endowment, is producing with their 300 million a year towards the humanity, the arts and all of this wacko art stuff. And you just have to go into the website to see exactly what they're doing. And it's like, see, like, just for a moment, okay, that's just one tiny little example. 300 million to the Republicans, and that has just been thrown so a bunch of people can get up and give speeches, and then a bunch of snot-nosed brats who got out of Ivy League colleges can get their foot into the cesspool of the government agencies in Washington, and then they stay and they make their careers, and their loyalty is their pocketbooks. See how, and this is how we've gone from 1 million people in 1950 to 6.4 million people who are to the American people, the taxpayers. We've got to drain the swamp. I have submitted, they have it, the cases against the IMF, World Bank, we can do the international development community. I got that down. The nonprofits, where is Marjorie Taylor Greene on that? Get the frick on that and get that, clean that up. We have the money to pay this all off and get this ship back on course. So anyway, what the question is, so what's the agenda? Why was there this desire to a resurgence of family, of conservative values, and Christian, towards the Christian religion, because it's, you have a phrase. Yeah. Okay. Well, Candace and Cher Denise, I want a conversation there about Catholic, Protestant, Puritan. Denise, I don't know what. Cher Denise, I don't know what the deal is with the WASPs, but yeah, I would love to have a little conversation with us, on all of us, on that what the different Christian stuff. But because there's some, see, nobody ever wants to. The Jews and the Muslims are like, what, all you Christians are the same? No, it's just like you guys. There's lots of differences there. So anyway, so what's the interest there? And there was somebody, it was, I think, Zeb, who made a good point. He said this whole Judeo-Christian, that's new. It used to be Christian. So that is an interesting question. So that's like the question. So why was that? But regardless of that, so this is obviously, and why did Israel and the Jews, this is like the money Jews in the United States. So let's see, Charlie, he's been doing this, I don't know, about 15 years or so. So why was that started? What was that all about? What was the idea behind that? And then, I believe, as I say, this started out with Kevin McCarthy. He makes it sound like Charlie was like in on it the whole time. No, I think he was a young, come on, 18 years old, right out of college. He's even said, like, at first he was intimidating. It's like, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about. But he read a lot, and he just was very, very inquisitive, and obviously was a coming of age and starting to, had a family, asking questions that obviously made people want to kill him, and they did. So that has to be looked into, and this is something that I've seen, which is really pissing me off, because Candace Owens is really being attacked. I particularly, let me share Denise's criticism of her, because this is just totally unfair. I'm so sick and tired of hearing, oh, well, you're just trying to make money. You're just trying to money. All of you guys are doing it. As I said to my siblings, I don't have, you can see I've never cared about how many views I have or anything like that. I'm just posting information, information, information. If you don't want to consume it, you don't consume it. But here's the facts, here's the evidence, here's what's going on. Um, and no money. What I want is to get the global expats up, and that's where I get my money. And then this, I have no conflict of interest. So I'm really glad that Candace Owens is jumping in and really pushing on this. And I love it when she says, I don't know. What is it? I know, but I don't know. I forget what it is, but it's funny. It's the women's intuition. And I keep on saying, yeah, that is one forte that women have. Oh, we know. We know. We got to find the evidence to prove it. And she does make this point again. She said, we fill us women with the FBI with us women. We're going to find, we know you did it. We're going to find the See, sometimes, how shall I say it? Traits that can become very, very dysfunctional and obnoxious can be used towards a problem. You just have to focus, direct that energy in the right direction. And that is also what the, women's roles and the old ladies, us old ladies who have been around and who have heard and seen it all. So we can see the shit coming a mile away. So anyway, that she's jumped in, and it's really important that somebody is doing that, because the trail is running cold. You have to, anytime there is some sort of crime or something, you don't sit around going, oh, we'll get to it next week. Well, no. And of course, Erica Kirk, she that's not her place. She's dealing with her grief, and that's, let's look at JFK and RFK's assassination. If the people in the community had been like, wait a second, yeah, we're not going to bring this to the widows when he's not even cold, but we're not going to just go, okay, whatever. No, that's why, I mean, this is what I was trying to explain to my siblings, and I've been trying to explain to everybody, and this particularly with Marianne Seigart and her father's book, The Human Rights of Mankind. Here, let's see, I have that here. It says, imagine a world where the international community placed no constraints on how rulers treated their subjects, allowing them to cast aside human values such as life and liberty. A ruler in such a world could lawfully exploit, mistreat, and even exterminate entire strata of the state's population. International law would confront concerned nations with an unseemly choice: follow the law and allow millions to die, or break the law to intervene directly in the sovereign affairs of another state. The world is easily imagined, for, as Paul Seigart explains in his new book, The Lawful Rights of Mankind, we only left such a place in 1945. In the book's preface, Seigart evokes the possibility of Chancellor Adolf Hitler dismissing a commission of concerned foreign representatives with the claim, quite correct according to principles of international effect at the time, that the commission's interest in his subjects constituted an illegitimate interference in the international affairs of the sovereign German state. Seigart maintains that an international code of human rights would at the very least strip the legal clothing from a Hitler or a Stalin and lay bare his monstrous crimes. Although Sygart elegantly achieves his limited goal of providing the lay reader with a highly accessible overview of the International Human Rights Code, what lies behind it, how it was made, how it works, and what it says, he enjoys less success in dispelling the lawyer's doubt that the code provides the hard law necessary to dent the global abuse of human rights. So, the thing is, your lawyers in your community, I mean, the who sets the laws? I mean, is it the written law or how people are interpreting it? I mean, we see perfectly with DEI in the discussion now. I mean, it's like, what do you mean you can't discriminate against white people? Of course you can. You can discourage. I mean, I lived abroad for 20 years. So when I got back to the United States, I'm like, what happened to you people? And it's just gotten worse and worse. This was 2009. So yeah, maybe I'm coming in from another perspective, going, you people are crazy. Of course you can. Um, uh, I'm not discriminated against as a white American for 20 years. I've heard it all. I've heard everything that you can say bad about white Americans from people around the world. My only defense with all of the Europeans, whenever they would complain and say, my God, it's another thing my brother's saying about voting. I'm like, oh yeah, that's where your civic duty is. You go to the polls and vote. I'm done. So my only defense with the people that we were voting into office, I was like, yeah, you guys aren't batting a better average. This is another thing. Candace Owens, what she is looking at with the Macrons, this is not, BS. And this, I'll play Cher Denise now.
For moi?
Claude, you can talk?
I've always had the gift of gab, Nancy.
I want to say to this new flex operation mocking pastor, why don't you focus on being more honest as a pastor and giving as much information as you can possibly provide so that we can continue this investigation? If you can't do this, I'm going to have to ask for your silence. Okay?
Be quiet.
Having seen what has happened over the course of the Charlie Kirk investigation that she has single-handedly decided is for her to do, and it's her burden to bear, I've been so appalled by the way she has behaved that it has really made me question everything she said, but then also made me question what was wrong in my heart that needed to know all the dirt, It's my pride. I just wanted to know what was really true, and not because I loved the truth so much, but because it made me feel powerful to have the facts, and I wasn't going to be deluded. Hello, how are you? Welcome to my channel. My name is Cher Denise. I will not take too much of your time. I just wanted to make sure that I made a video about this, and I hope you can stay for the end, at least for the beginning, because that's the real part I want you to hear. What I want to tell you today is that I'm really sorry. I just want to apologize from my whole heart to you, because over the weekend I began to feel a lot of conviction that I've shared stories on my channel that I did not know to be 100% fact, and I shared them with you as though they were God's honest truth. And I was wrong to do that. Specifically, I've been convicted that I shared the story about Brigitte Macron and acted as though I had some kind of insight into the reality of this person's life that I couldn't possibly have. The story of Brigitte Macron, having met Emmanuel when he was 14 and she groomed him and is now married to him, is wild enough. Many documents show it. He's spoken about it. She's spoken about it. His family's spoken about it. That's fact. And it's been a story that people have known his entire public life. That the relationship he has with his wife began when he was 14. That's wild. But for me to behave as though that story wasn't wild enough, I had to go off into realms unknown and repeat to you stories that I had heard. Was wrong. So over the weekend, I took down every video I could find where I had talked about that, and I just hit them. I just put them on private because I don't want those videos out there anymore. I was really convicted that I had taken as the gospel truth things that Candace Owens had said to me with so much conviction that I just assumed she was right. But I don't blame Candace. I blame my own prideful heart that thought, I need to know what's really going on in the world. I wanted to believe so much that I had the inside scoop that I was not only willing to believe it myself, but then peddle it to you as though there were facts and as though there were actual receipts for all the stuff that is, quite frankly, supposition. Some of the things that she shared, I didn't even get into because I wasn't really sure how to explain it, but I would have if I could have figured out how to explain it. And I was ashamed. One of the videos I ended up taking down was the best performing video I've ever made. And all I could see there was shame when I looked at those numbers, thinking over 600,000 times people watched me say things I wasn't even sure if they were true. I didn't have firsthand knowledge. I didn't have firsthand account. Nobody had said any of this to me. I'd never read any primary sources, but I had the gall to tell you that it was true. And I'm really, really sorry that I did that. It's not new to me to have to come to you guys and say, I'm sorry about this, that, and the other.
Okay, I'm not going to play the whole thing because it kind of does go into it and repeats itself. But one of the things she says, she was just repeating what she had heard. Well, I remember one of the things with Foxcroft, and this is socialite 101, and the job of a socialite, trophy wife, whatever you want to call her. This is for you, Susan Carlson and Megan Kelly, because if you want to have it all, then you have to do both. Well, this gets into my point. If you're your husband's the stay-at-home parent, is he supposed to pick up the slack and do all the PTA and all the coffee mornings and do the job? Because this is exactly what I started when I started all of this deep state stuff, is women's, and this is just the upper crust, because women have always worked outside of the home. They always wanted, in fact, a good provider, so they didn't have to. And when we were agrarian farmers and stuff, everybody worked. Even old granny. And the one of the things that they would say at Foxcroft is, I told two friends who told two friends who told two friends who told two friends. Now, I mean, this is basically what media does, is repeat and re-repeat. Now, again, I have no idea what she's referring to. I saw the whole documentary. In fact, I was so pissed off when Megan Kelly condescendingly said, well, I hadn't read the filing, the lawsuit that the Macrons had filed against Candace, but she was going to opine on it. I was like, yeah, I haven't read it. I don't need to read it. I mean, it was just so condescending. Why can't you ladies, be supportive of each other? This is, again, with Cher Denise. And I enjoy Cher Denise, and that's another thing. Cher Denise, you talk about Ethel Kennedy, you talk about all of these horrible women. Yeah, they're in ground zero, and we got to get them out of this town and run them out. And get this, I mean, it's like a cancer. And it is coming from Ethel. I mean, she wasn't alone. We had Bonnie and Ethel. Oh, don't get me started on Cokie Roberts. And so there's a lot of people that have been involved to just that my brother's like, well, yeah, we know the country's gone to shit. Yeah, we better do something about it and say, oh, well, we'll just all move to Mars. We're not. They're going to have to exterminate a lot of people. See, this is, we want to go down this rabbit hole, but if we're going towards the Fourth Reich, I mean, this is where it's headed. And it does seem. So anyway, I'll finish with that. Could these ladies please be more supportive of each other? Candace, and I think, oh, Candace just took it upon herself to be all by herself. No, other people, this guy, Zeb, it's Boynton, um, he looked into that because I think it was even Ian Carroll, I saw that. None of the ballistic people, like the snipers who would normally jump on something like this and be like, okay, and look at her, nobody was doing anything. So he jumped in and did something. Apparently, some contentious discussion going on there, as well as what he's saying. There's still, everybody's still like going back and forth. Well, there was this, light here, here's a possible trajectory. What the frick they put concrete. I mean, this just stinks to high freaking heaven. So it is important because we can't trust the authorities, and it is important for everybody to work together. And, I saw Ian Carroll, he was looking at everybody and had a whole system in there. But yeah, that this is a coordinated effort, because it is important, really is important to find out, who is behind this all and why. Because it's like you let this, and we've let it gone. I mean, who was it? Somebody even said, here, let me pull up a list of who the CIA has killed. And those are the ones that we know about. They're putting it up there. I mean, come on. So, well, we're going to jump into conclusions. Well, no, if this smells like a CIA, then we might want to consider, it smells like shit. It usually is shit. So anyway, what's going on? I mean, I'm furious with Amal Clooney, and this also, like Amal Clooney, this is just another nail in the coffin of the whole human rights industry. Like, wait a second, you guys, because the point that I make with here, that's Ingrid Betancourt. There it is. Amal Clooney, an Arab Muslim feminist promoting discrimination and hatred of Arabs and Muslims in the West, are only justifying ending wars in the Mideast, because they're painting, and they have been painting, the Muslims to be the evil, evil, evil people that we have to, purge the world of, to justify the wars there. That's why I'm like, okay, so why do we now want to switch and go towards a flip side of the Christians? I mean, the natural assumption is we are for another Fourth Reich, and we will have extermination camps and purging, and this will start with all of the minorities. And the minorities have played into this because they're so busy, with the woke liberalism, and everybody wanting to be, have more than their portion of the pie, and power and control, and playing party politics. And this is exactly what I saw when I was looking at what happened with the rise of the Third Reich and even the Second Reich. It's the same socioeconomic situations are repeating themselves. So, it is cyclical, but there are forces at work, and money, it's all about money, being passed around. Denise criticized Candace Owens about this whole thing about the camera, and her, using her contacts within Turning Point, which, if she did, oh no, I don't want to, like, upset him. Hey, bro, what the frick's going on there? You know, this is where you should be working together. If you're not, who's covering up? Why? You know, of course, this is somebody that you cared about. This is somebody you worked for or with. You want to find out everything that all information you want to make sure is examined, and you want to find out exactly who killed him and why. And if you don't, then you got to start asking why not. So, and then with this Jimmy Kimmel firing, this is again, well, I'm going to finish this. Let's play a little bit of Megyn Kelly.
You know your choices matter.
But
that's why America's beverage companies are sharing more information about our ingredients. Because when it's time to decide what goes on your table, you know facts are the first ingredient. Visit goodtoknowfacts.org.
So the reports broke last night mostly that there were multiple reasons why Jimmy Kimmel was pulled off the air. But chief among them was, not only was he not planning on apologizing when he was going to go back out on his show Wednesday evening, he was planning on attacking MAGA. Attacking. My words are being purposefully twisted, he was planning on saying, per a report in the Wall Street Journal. See, it's our fault that we didn't understand that really he was supposed to be super supportive of MAGA. He wasn't pointing the finger at MAGA. Just a reminder for those of you who hadn't heard them, here's what he said on Monday night that caused the trouble. Sat one.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Well, that's Mark. He marks up medicines. As a nonprofit, we might pay a penny for a medicine. Mark.
Unbelievable. I mean, like every word there was untrue. Like literally every word he said was false. And an intentional smear. And the shooter had nothing whatsoever to do with MAGA, which he knew. And I'll tell you how I know he knew. Jimmy Kimmel has made perfectly clear in the past that he's factual. He's super factual. Is this a SOT, guys, or is this just a quote? But he got into his own little dispute with Aaron Rodgers, the football player, who had suggested Jimmy Kimmel might be on the Epstein list. And Jimmy Kimmel was very upset about that allegation. And Jimmy Kimmel went out on his show and said the following in January of 2024.
He decided to insinuate that I am a pedophile. This is how these nuts do it now. You don't like Trump, you're a pedophile. It's their go-to move. And it shows you how much they actually care about pedophilia. And as far as the, well, you say things about people all the time argument goes, yes, I do. It's not the same. It's not even close to the same. We say a lot of things on this show. We don't make up lies. In fact, we have a team of people who work very hard to sift through facts and reputable sources before I make a joke. And that's an important distinction because the truth still matters. And when I do get something wrong, which happens on rare occasions, you know what I do? I apologize for it, which is what Aaron Rodgers should do, which is what a decent person would do.
So he is what we would call in the law a fucking liar because he says he has a team of fact checkers that don't allow him to say lies and that if he errs, he'll go out there and apologize and clear it up. But he was entirely wrong in trying to blame this shooting on MAGA and saying this shooter was affiliated with MAGA or one of theirs, and he knew it. And the reason I know he knew it is because he says he has a team of researchers that researches every fact before he says it on his show. And what we knew as of Monday night was that this shooter, while yes, he had Republican parents, do your parents, does their party registration dictate what you're going to be? Oh, if only. If only. No, that what matters is what were his politics. That's what we're looking for here, and most specifically his motive. We know that this was a unaffiliated voter. That's how he was registered, this shooter.
But see, the thing is Kimmel, he was able to make the joke because Trump, when he was asked, how are you doing? He changes the, oh, fine. And then he starts talking in a ballroom. I'm sorry. You can't fault Kimmel for taking the ball and running with it. Okay, it's bad taste. It's all in bad taste. But you know, you can't fire a guy over that. I mean, I want to like Don Lemon. I want to see it in court when he says, "Oh, you can fire, you know, you private company, you can fire." I'm so sick and tired of these guys. What's his face? Billy Bush was saying the same stuff. You know, well, you want to fire him, you can go ahead. I mean, this whole normalization of things that are illegal under the law. It's written. We have laws against these things. And you say, no, you're normalizing it. You are normalizing illegal activity and sanctioning illegal activity that way. You know, you're part of the protected. So anyway, you know, but so also listen to all of this, because it's like, thou dost protest too much. See, Megyn Kelly going on and on and on like this, it makes me think, well, wait a second. Do the Republicans have something to hide? You know, because she, fair weather friend, you know, she goes with the flow. So anyway, but she's missing some points here.
We knew that his own mother said that he had gone leftward. We didn't yet have the mother saying he had latched on to pro-gay and pro-trans ideology. That came another day later. Fine. But we knew that he was living with somebody who is transitioning male to female, that he, Tyler, was into, quote, furry culture, that the man he is living with was also dressed like a, quote, furry, with it, which is an anthropomorphic, I don't know, human / animal type character that people have weird sexual fetishes around. Don't go there. It's closely linked to the trans community. That's what you need to know. We know that the Utah governor had said he was driven by leftist ideology. We know that the bullet casings had leftist messages on them, like anti-fascist catch, here fascist catch, an anti-fascist song, and the notices bulges, OWO, which is another, it's a reference to furry culture. Once again, all of that, of course, spells.
I mean, this can all be manufactured evidence to point of, oh, see, look, he's trans. This is trans. This is political, coming from the left, jumping to a conclusion without, let's get the evidence. What's going on here? And lawyer, see, this is my big problem. Oh, no, we'll just drink the Kool-Aid and pass it out.
To anybody with eyes and ears and a brain. And by the way, we didn't even have to go that far. All you needed to know was that Charlie Kirk got shot at one of the Charlie Kirk events. And you knew it was someone who hated Charlie Kirk because of his politics. That was obvious. Only leftists trying to deny any connection to the shooter or his ideology or what infected his mind would deny that. So he knew because he had his team of fact checkers who knew all the things I just said, because I know them, and I too am into facts. And I learned them from the same news sources he had access to, or his fact checkers did, which is how I know it was an intentional lie that he told on the air on Monday night. And the other reason I know it was an intentional lie was by the time we got into Tuesday, we did hear from the mother. We saw the indictment. We saw all of the things that were alleged at that press conference, specifically with the mother saying leftist ideology, the gay thing, the trans thing, which
we know it was a lie. We know it was a lie. She's like charting this narrative. What he was making was a joke that Trump, he really, really cares about Charlie Kirk, because look how he changes the subject real quick when you ask him how he's doing. Now, Megyn Kelly, she thinks, I don't know, maybe, she thinks that she's protecting Trump because she's, deviating the attention away from, well, that doesn't look, that's not too good ops. for Trump in the compassion business. Or maybe she, wants to make sure that nobody looks at the Republicans about this. I don't know, but she's going on.
We knew it was just more evidence, but whatever. It got even more airtight. And here's what he did on Tuesday night. On Tuesday night, already the controversy had blown up. And what did he say? Did he go out Tuesday night to apologize, to say, I got it wrong, let me correct it? Well, let's listen in. SOT 2.
Well, many in MAGA land are working very hard to capitalize on the murder of Charlie Kirk. The president and his henchmen are doing their best to fan the flames so they can, I guess, attack people on the dangerous left. Which is it? Are they a bunch of sissy pickleball players because they're too scared to get hit by tennis balls, or a well-organized, deadly team of commandos? Because they can't be both of those things.
You know your choices matter. That's why America's beverage companies are sharing more information about our ingredients. Because when it's time to decide what goes on your table, you know facts are the first ingredient. Visit goodtoknowfacts.org.
Unfortunately, it can, and it is. You have a super big tent for wackos over there on the left. Jimmy, you do have weak-kneed, soy boy, skater, scooter types who, would much more likely be on the pickle court than the tennis court, but there's nothing wrong with pickle. And then you do have the Antifa types, and you have the radical types who absolutely would take a gun, lie down on a rooftop, and try to kill the next president of the United States. And by the way, that description applies both to Trump and to Charlie. Everyone knows Charlie was going to be president one day. You could see it just upon shaking the man's hand. It's your side, Jimmy, that does.
See, that raises another, without her realizing, I think, raises another, could this be an inside job? Did somebody, Charlie, he wouldn't be, they wouldn't be able to control him. He wouldn't have been a puppet. So better to take out the young buck before it gets too strong. And see, with him now, no longer with us, they can control the narrative how they want. They can, he's no longer there to speak. They can, manipulate. This is why it's good that Erica is there. But also, if she's not with a supportive entourage, then I don't want to play it again. No.
You know your choices matter. That's why America's beverage companies are sharing more info.
Well, anyway, I made the point. So she goes on and on and on, and she keeps on doing that. And I know the thing is that's what Megyn Kelly does. She keeps on flipping all over. She just goes with where the wind blows her. So, is she doing something? Does she know something and trying to cover it up? Or is she just trying to earn kudos with Trump by being a cheerleader for him? I think it's the second. There's one time, I wish I have this. I think I have it saved someplace. I'll have to look for it. How she goes on about the sororities. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, okay. One of my favorite was when my younger sister said, you never excelled at Foxcroft. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I'm the smartest student the school ever had. She was like, you were not popular. Like, yeah. Yeah. See, this whole thing of like, oh, well, they don't fit in there. Like, it's all, they're coming out with the whole autism report. Anybody who is different is labeled, has ADHD, has some problem that you got to dope them up on, some pharmaceutical drug. Stop doping up the kids. You want to, the United States is supposed to be like so promoting independence. Nothing could be farther than the truth. It's just a cult society these days. There's no free thought.
Like it just seems like it never happened. So, I think a lot of this is social media. A lot of it is, Prozac and pharmaceuticals. A lot of it is way too much time on the screen. But the reality is these are mostly first world problems.
Yeah, you said the screen. I mean, I was talking earlier about these sites where these kids. I mean, this kid Tyler Robinson is on this site, like he's communicating on gaming platforms and things like Discord and Steam and Roblox and places I've never been, but they're dark corners, and you can operate under a pseudonym and you can share the wildest ideas. I mean, you're a free speech guy. You're a pro democracy guy. You're a freedoms guy. So, do you think do these types of platforms need a little policing? Do they need a little FBI investigation and monitoring?
Like it just seems like it never happened.
My thing also. This is a first world problem. This is like so condescending, American condescension, and imperialism 101. It's just, when I heard that, I was like, oh, please, you guys. So the solution is we're going to do censorship. So that's kind of where I'm going to keep on in covering what's going on in the investigation or current events of the Charlie Kirk assassination, because I really do support Candace on this. We got to find out. We need answers. And this whole thing about just killing people. I mean, somebody told me that I got to check out an article on It Doesn't Pay to Be Friends with the Clintons, and it's a whole list of people that they've assassinated. It gotta stop. It's gotta stop. This whole spy work and everybody from local to international levels, it just, you need a refix. Hi. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. Help us. Maybe that's why I thought maybe he's with my dad. Like, okay, we gotta work some magic from up here, because they're self-destructing down there. All my condolences, Erica. God, that was so sad. So sad.